What's up? Who's ready to make a game? Alright, we are going to be making our first game in Construct 2. It's called Starfish Collector. It's a pretty simple game, but by the time you are finished, you will have a good understanding of a lot of the ways to use Construct 2, and then we'll build from there. So as you can see, I've got my Construct 2 start page up here. So what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new project. And remember we started to talk about that there's all these different things that you can do in Construct 2, but we're going to start with a new empty project, which should be the very first one. We're going to open it, and if you remember, here's our start page, but it gives us a layout and an event sheet. I'm just going to go ahead and close the start page so I'm not too confused there. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to go over to our properties page over here, our window, and we are going to, first, we are going to go down to, we are going to look down for the layout. So I'm going to click on the layout, okay? And once I click on that, then, oops, ignore that. So I click on it, and over here, layout size, that's how big it's going to be. We're actually going to make our screen 800 pixels wide by 600 tall. And I'm going to hit enter. And you see, whenever you make a change, it bolds there. And now you can see the layout is this dotted line around here. We got 800 by 600 pixels, which is what we want. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our layers, and our layers over here, you can see layer 0. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple layers. So I'm going to add a layer and add a layer. So I've got layer 0, layer 1, and layer 2. And over here, this is called the Z index. If you notice, it just matches up the number, but we're going to rename those. So this guy, I'm going to rename as background. That's going to be the bottom layer. The next layer, I'm going to rename main, and that's where most of our stuff is going to be. And then UI. Okay. So quick thing, background is going to be kind of like the background of the game. Not much is going to be interactive or do anything. The main, that's going to be where all your players are. A lot of the like obstacles or things that you're interacting with in the game. And the UI is going to be a layer that's going to house stuff like the score, a timer, instructions, stuff like that. Okay. So now we've got 3 layers, background, main, and UI. And a lot of games, I'm going to recommend that you have 3 layers similar to this. Okay. So next, we're going to go to the project properties, and over here, project properties, over in the properties panel, we're going to hit view, and our window size right now, window size is how big the area is when the game is running. We want it the exact same size as our layout for this game, so 800 by 600. And once you hit that, you'll see again it's bold, and you can see there's no more dotted line. It's all one white rectangle with a bold line. Okay. The other thing we're going to do is up here where it says the name. This is where you're going to give your project a name. And Starfish Collector, ID, right here, author. You can put your name and so on, but the main thing is make sure you give it a name. And now the window size is 800 by 600. All right, cool. So now I'm going to go ahead, and at this point I'm going to save it as a single file. Remember, if I save it, and it's going to be CapX, and I'm just going to call it Starfish Collector. And I'm going to save it. Okay. All right, now I'm going to start adding some sprites in our visual element. Okay, so one of the things that you want to do is you are going to insert a new object. Okay, first I'm going to click on the background because this is the one that I want to use. And over here on the layout, I'm going to right click and insert new object. Then I'll see this screen come up. And we're actually, a lot of the times, we're going to insert a sprite. Okay, so I'm going to insert sprite. And then you're going to see this crosshairs mark. And what you're going to do is you're going to click and you're going to drag it to open up a window. Okay. Now, once we have this, we're going to tell it where what we want to put in there. There's some things you could create some things in here, but a lot of the times we're going to load an image from a file. Now, I have already extracted, got my all my assets ready. If you remember in the previous video, you have to download it into a zip file, and then you have to extract all so you can get them. I'm going to select water. Okay, so if you haven't extracted your assets, you need to do that and extract them so that they're ready to go. Then I'm going to open this. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I can see it here. And once I'm ready, this is a little bit counterintuitive, but when you're ready, you're just going to close this. And you'll see the sprite here. Now, this sprite in particular, we want it to go all the way across our screen here. So I'm going to just drag it out. And you can even see over here, this sprite, if I click on objects right over here, see how this says sprites? I'm going to right click and rename that as water. Okay, so water over here. This should say water. Click back on water. And see how this is 801 by 598? Could just put 800 by 600. There you go. Remember, and that's exactly the size of what we had before. Okay. And I'm gonna now I've got my background right there. Okay. So next we so once we got it so it covers it a little bit, if you decided to if you made it go a little bit past the screen, that's totally okay. Like if you make it just a little bit bigger, that is totally fine too, because you see the black line is going to be where it's going to go to the edge. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to insert another thing. So I'm going to go ahead and lock my background. Okay. If you notice locking the background. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the main, and what that does is now if you notice, I can't mess around with the changes. I'm on the main. I'm going to insert, right click to insert a new object, and I'm going to do another sprite. And you'll see the hash marks in, and you'll drag it, and you'll recognize this. We're going to go back to load an image, so go to the file. And this time we're going to put in our turtle. So I'm going to put my turtle in, open, okay, and he's right there. And I'm just going to go ahead and click him, and I can move him around where I want to. For right now, right about there is good. Okay. So notice, here's one thing that lots of people do is they don't name their sprites something that's meaningful or helpful, and then they end up getting all these things as your game gets more complicated. You have all these things called Sprite 1, Sprite 2, Sprite 45, and it gets really confusing. So naming it something that is helpful for you to remember what's going on is really key. Okay. Now, if I ever wanted to have more of these sprites, one thing I can do is, here's my little trick. If I select on him and I hold down the control key, I can drag. I'm just holding the control key. Whoop. I'm holding the control key, and as I drag, I click and drag. As long as I'm holding the control key, I can make many instances as I want. If I don't want those, I can go through and delete them. You notice over here in the objects, it's still just one turtle. It's basically all the same thing. Okay, so, but we're just gonna have one turtle. And a little bit later, we'll actually use that for some of the starfish. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna right click, insert object, sprite. And right here, if you notice, it can ask you right here what it's going to be called. And I'm going to go starfish, and I'm going to drag it. And here we go. We're going to open. Here we go, the starfish. Okay. And there's nothing we need to change here. We could change the color or crop or do all these different things. Right now, it's good. Okay, but this, I actually want. The game is called Starfish Collector. We need more than one starfish. So I'm going to use my control. I'm holding down the control key, and I'm going to drag till I get, let's do 6 starfish. Okay, I've got 6 starfish. This is a good stopping point, so I'm going to file, save as a single file, and cancel. Or if I've already saved, I just hit file, control save, save as a single file. Starfish Collector X. Do I want to replace it? Yes, I do. Okay, and that's it for right now. We've got our project set up. In the next project, or next video, we're going to be working with the event sheet so that then our game actually comes to life. Cool. See you in the next video.